Alright, you guys, this is going to be the video for pages 3 and 4 odds, because there's just a few questions on each page. Number 23, we are still solving and graphing this inequality. You want to get the letter K by himself. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 8 to move him over. 17 minus 8 is 9, and everything else stayed the same. To get K by himself this time, I'm going to divide by 3. It cancels, and all that's left is K greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to put 3 on my graph, 1 above and 1 below. I'm going to put a solid dot because it's equal to, and then my arrows pointing this way. The next section tells us to define a variable, write an equation, and solve the problem. Number 25 is saying the product, which means multiply, of two numbers, so those are my variables, is no greater than 160. No greater than is the same thing as it has to be less than. So those two numbers are going to multiply to be less than 160. And then you want to always check, can I be equal to 160? And the answer here is yes, because equal to 160 is still no greater than 160. So you're going to have two numbers that are going to be my variables. So we'll have x and y, and they multiply. So x, y is less than or equal to 160. So that's where I would start. But then it says one of your numbers is negative 8. So instead of one of these letters, I'm going to plug in negative 8. So negative 8y is less than or equal to 160. And it wants us to solve that equation. So from here, if I wanted to solve, all I would do is divide by negative 8 on each side. I'm going to do that at the top here. Divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8. Y is less than or, oops, I made a mistake. Remember, when you divide or multiply by a negative, that means that you have to switch that sign. So I divided by a negative here and divided by a negative here. So my sign flips the other way, and then I do the math. 160 divided by a negative 8 is negative 20. So the letter I used was y. The inequality I used was negative 8y less than or equal to 160. My solutions are any of the y's that are greater than or equal to negative 20. Okay. Number 27 asks, is 6, the number 6, a solution for each inequality? Justify your work. So if it's a solution, then your statement is going to be a true statement. So let's plug him in for the x and figure out if this statement is true. So 6 times 6 is 36. 36 minus 7 is 29. And then we want to evaluate. Is 29 greater than or equal to 10? Yes. So 6 is the solution. Okay. Number 29. Make a table for the function with a domain 10, 11, and 12. So remember that your input, x's, go on top. Your output, y's, go on bottom. It's giving you your domain or your x values. So you want to put that in here, 10, 11, and 12. And what we do is we input those, or we put them into our function. 2 times 10 plus 4, y equals 2 times 11 plus 4, and y equals 2 times 12. plus 4. We're going to solve each of those equations to get the output. So 2 times 10 is 20, plus 4 is 24. So that goes right here. 2 times 11 is 22. 22 plus 4 is 26. So that goes right here. 2 times 12 is 24 plus 4 is 28. So that goes here. And that's all you do. Remember, X is your input, so you put it in. Y is your output, so it's what you get out. Number 31 is asking for the rule for the function. If you input 30, you get out 27. Well, how did 30 go to 27? Well, you can subtract 3. So you want to analyze this pattern for each one and see if it fits. 35, if I put in 35, I get out 32. So how did 35 go to 32? Well, you subtracted 3. How did 40 go to 37? You subtracted 3. How did 45 go to 42? You subtracted 3. So when you're looking at your possible function rules, you're not multiplying because none of these numbers are getting larger when they input into the function. And you're not adding, you are subtracting 3 each time. Number 33. Now we're looking at functions on a graph. Which function does this graph represent? Well, the first thing I notice is it goes through the origin. And when you're talking about y equals mx plus b, that b is your y-intercept. So if this is 0, then I'm looking for an equation that looks like y equals mx. So I know it's not going to be a and it's not going to be b. Next, I want to look at that slope. And I want to say, is that slope going up to right 1 or down to right 1? And from this point, my slope is going down 2 and then right 1. Down 2, right 1. That's a negative slope. So my answer choice here would be B. That's it for pages 3 and 4 odds. Stay tuned for the last 2 pages.